Hey Josie, tell them what they're watching. Yeah!
Welcome back to Popcorn Culture Podcast for popcorn, soda pop, popular media, and other popping things. We should introduce ourselves. I am Sage Man.
I am Mason Ellison.
I am Aaron Schmidt.
Yes, we you didn't need our last names. We're new at this. I just realized, we've never given our names on this show, so so I thought
Probably seen it
people-
somewhere if you watch us.
Yeah, but nobody watches us. That people want to know, they would know. Okay. Yeah, every week. We don't do this every week anymore, but we get our popcorn and soda from Poppin' on Main. It's the local Quincy popcorn shop. They change their menu every month. This will come out a month after we're filming it, so you won't get these there. But
Still go look at
here's
it.
what we got. Okay, yeah, they've got their regular flavors, and then there's some specialty flavors, a little more expensive, and then every month there's one big gourmet flavor, which I always seem to overlook. So I'm definitely gonna have to try to get that in my brain. Yeah, look at the gourmet flavor sometime. Um, didn't seem to have much new in the regular flavors this month. We've got the main mix. It's their signature mix. It's caramel and cheddar. Over here we got your classic kettle corn. And this is salt and pepper. Sounds elegant.
Salt and pepper.
Yeah, it's elegant in its simplicity.
You do realize that now I have 90s hip hop in my head.
Yeah,
Right.
salt and
Salt
pepper.
and All right, and the novelty soda that we've got this time is themed after the monkeys and is banana nut flavor.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what kind of soda that
See
might
if you
be.
can show off the label.
See the label? Okay.
Because
The
it
monkeys, yeah.
shows off the people.
Yeah.
Michael Nesmith, Mickey Dolenz, Peter York, and Davy Jones.
Yeah.
I don't know how I know all their names, but I do.
Yeah. A lot of people think they were a real band. They were not. They were a fake TV band making fun of the Beatles.
And then eventually they tried to become a real band, and then
Is it a
people
pop-off?
thought, yeah, I
This is
don't
a
like
pop-off.
this.
There's a pop off.
It is?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
We need a bottle opener.
Aren't they all like this? Isn't
No.
this the same bottle cap they've all had?
No, they switch between two bottle caps. It's like because it's like sometimes beer bottles do that. Different brands have different types of lids.
So we need a bottle opener?
Once again, the monkeys have been an absolute nuisance to all of society.
Yeah.
Keep talking. I'll
Okay.
be back.
All right.
Manhandle my lid open. Doubtful. Oh, I'm not that much of a man.
In this episode, we revisited the first movie night that the three of us ever did together. My choice, which was Holy Musical Batman. Oh, wow, wow. Batman spelled with an ampersand because you can make all the Batman parodies you want. That's legal. Not so much putting his name in the title. Is at least what I gather from how parodies title themselves.
Yeah, it's easy.
The fifth theatrical production from Team StarKid and the most popular work of their fresh out of college period of 2011 and 2012. It was a major turning point in the works of StarKid leaders, the Lang brothers. For one thing, it's the first installment in which both brothers are given equal billing as directors, when previous works featured Matt Lang as director and Nick Lang as assistant director. This would begin the evolution of their partnership, with later years seeing Nick ascending to full leader of the group, doing all the directing, while the shy and reclusive Matt steps out of the spotlight and just writes. It's also the first StarKid show where the Lang brothers get sole script writing credit, which wouldn't happen again for a while, but is the status quo of StarKid's current project since 2018, the Hatchetfield saga. Joe Walker stars as Batman, one of the first major fan favorite stars of the StarKid brand. This is his only headlining role. The Lang brothers' usual co-writer Brian Holden plays Superman, and Nick Lang himself plays Robin in his largest onstage role. Jeff Blim makes his StarKid debut playing the villain Sweet Tooth. See, in a Batman parody, you want your main villain to be the Joker, but how do you make fun of the Joker? You really can't. No matter what you make a fake Joker do, it'll still seem like something the real Joker would do. So they took the name of an incredibly obscure candy-themed Batman villain and made him the Joker. And rounding out our main cast, Chris Allen makes his on-stage debut as Alfred, having previously worked with StarKid on a web series they made before breaking out with their Harry Potter parody. Supporting cast includes Dylan Saunders as Green Lantern, Lauren Lopez as Commissioner Gordon, and Nick Strauss as Chief O'Hara. There's a massive ensemble in this show, with every actor playing a ton of small roles, even Joe Walker managing one minor role in addition to Batman. Spot that role if you can. And that ensemble is rounded out by StarKid staples Jamie Lynn Beatty, Julia Albane, Denise Donovan, Meredith Stepien, Jim Povolo, and newcomer Nico Agger. The first StarKid production not to feature musical compositions from the group's true breakout star Darren Criss. The music is by Nick Gage, who powers the whole show with very unique 80s synth vibes. This shows a nice flash of a transitional period after Darren departed, but before they began employing the compositions of Clark Baxtresser, who'd carry them through their next era. So that's it. That is it. You know, but when I summarize all the StarKid musicals, I usually have a lot more to say, but on this one, I simply say a Batman musical.
Who wants what?
I'm just gonna start with my story for a while.
I'll try the salt and pepper.
There you go.
See if it lives up to the hype.
This one's one of my favorites. The combo one of the cheddar and the caramel.
Soda. Well, it's an okay soda. I'm not getting banana vibes, but
no, it's very brown sugar and molasses.
It makes sense.
So almost more like the bread part of the banana nut.
My God, it's dark in here. Can we at least open your shades or something?
Yeah, I can do that.
Was you want to be gloomy in here?
We'll just cut this part out.
Got a made of bread in here.
Okay, that's better. Yeah. Okay. No more dark, sad, lonely nights. Okay.
No.
At least not.
So yeah, we gotta be. Yes, we gotta be cheerful, singing and dancing through Gotham. All right.
Exactly.
Yep. So, where do we begin? I suppose. I go overall atmosphere. You know, this was. What did I say? 2011, 2012. So you know,
Something
The
like
Dark
that.
Knight was very fresh in people's memories. And so. What it really. Yeah, what they did was they have a Batman who thinks he's the Nolan Batman in the universe of the Adam West Batman. And then and so that's kind of the overall atmosphere. And then of course you have Sweet Tooth, who is a combination of mannerisms wise, he's a combination of Jack Nicholson Joker and Jim Carrey Riddler. And yeah, as we've said, combination Jack Nicholson and Jim Carrey is basically how Jeff Blim behaves all the time.
Oh,
I was also getting a couple of touches of Cesar Romero from the 60s Batman show
Yeah.
in
Sure.
terms of the absurdness
Yeah.
and over the
Over the
top
top.
concepts of his general plans. though.
Yeah, and
Even the makeup, too.
his plans were definitely very directly Heath Ledger Joker based, but they took it to absurd degrees, and yeah, all the villains were constantly spouting puns based on their themes, very Adam West era.
Yeah. Which is awesome because they even made a reference to how much they make the references of candy.
Including a character named Egghead, who was played by Vincent Price in the show. And I swear, for like the first 20 seconds he's on camera, he manages to get out like 12 egg puns.
Oh my God.
Something only Vincent Price was able to do so straightly.
Dude.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's why a lot of kids were real big fans of the '60s Batman, because it plays itself so straight that kids wouldn't realize how ridiculous it is.
Oh yeah.
Because every actor's taking it super seriously, and yeah, that's the funny thing about the '60s Batman. You had your main rotating rogues gallery. You had Joker, Riddler, Penguin, and Catwoman were the main villains, and then you'd have occasional guest appearances by like Mr. Freeze and a couple others, but most of the villains were made up for the show and have never appeared in the comics for legal reasons. So
I am not gonna lie, I do not like this.
oh, I'm sorry.
I just this is why we try things on air.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I tried things, like when I went out to eat at the restaurant where I work, I got lox, didn't like it, glad I tried it.
Yeah.
My grandpa took me out to Wahlburgers last week, and what caught my eye first was the peanut butter burger, and I'm like, I'll try anything once. It was not good. I hope to go to Wahlburgers again for something normal.
Plus,
weird.
I have to give credit. Pretty good pun.
Wahlburgers. Yeah.
Wahlburgers.
Yeah.
Why no Wahlburger?
I can appreciate a good celebrity pun.
Yeah.
Speaking of puns, back to our villains.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
But yeah,
Yeah. You have.
that was the great part about it. I was hoping that they even had like some weird crossover happening, where because towards the end they had the big production where, like you said, they had all the villains come in, and there was even, or was it the end or
You mean like at the end of the
The-
first villain scene, or?
no? I'm mixing the villain scene with the very end.
Oh, the finale.
The finale.
Yeah.
Well, we don't talk
No,
about the
we're not-
finale this
no,
early,
I'm
and we
sorry.
don't
I
not
got
this early in the episode. Yeah.
No, not yeah. But no, I agree with you because like even like Catwoman they had on there, like they even like changed her up to be comedical because they even gave her like a cat perched on her shoulder, like she was
Yeah.
almost like a
Yeah.
pirate.
And kind of, yes. But like I said, I personally just really appreciate
good.
that whole over the top campiness. See, around this time, this was when Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark was on Broadway.
Very true.
And that failed for a lot of reasons, and we could probably make an entire episode talking about it, but I don't want to. But see, I've always had this theory. When it comes to superheroes in general, you're already stretching the audience's suspension of disbelief so far.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so when you have Peter Parker up there singing about his great destiny and fighting the Green Goblin, and he's playing it absolutely straight, it's like, okay, I can imagine a teenage dork getting spider powers and suddenly swinging through New York in red tights, fighting bad guys. My suspension of disbelief is going so far.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But when he stops to sing about his feelings in the middle of it, that's when it's like,
He breaks the whole.
okay, now this is ridiculous and I can't invest myself in this. But when you take something like Holy Musical Batman, where you lean into the ridiculousness, that's when I think it works.
Mhm.
I totally agree. It's now to be clear, we're not the kind of people who can't take musicals seriously. We are musical theater
Oh yeah,
people.
Hello,
I
Dolly.
want to contextualize that if this is your first episode. Yep, yeah, from his
Hello, Dolly.
Hello
Yeah.
Dolly. Yeah.
I just think that when you mix the two,
Yeah, I completely agree. That you say that brought back memories of just like how I first started feeling about StarKid. It's it's like you get superheroes and or Starship Troopers or wizards walking around singing, and it's really funny. And I think StarKid even eventually became kind of disillusioned about that whole notion because they are so sick of people just doing X the musical. And you
Yeah.
just add the musical and it's funny. And so they started
Mhm.
getting sick of the trend that they started. And yeah, it works so well comedically. Like I remember having a moment when I watched one of their more recent shows, Black Friday, which, you know, Hatchetfield, it takes itself a bit more seriously than previous StarKid works. And I remember following along, and then the president of the United States starts singing, and there's just some part of my head was like, the president shouldn't sing. And I was like, why do I think that? Why is it that some things shouldn't be musicals unless it's funny? I don't know. It's a fun, odd little psychological thing, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I get it's subjective for everybody. That's just always been a theory I've had. Because I mean, this isn't the first time someone's toyed with the idea of a Batman musical. One of my favorite episodes of Batman Beyond starts with Terry and an old Bruce Wayne going to a Batman musical. And, you know, this is like 50
Really?
years after Batman's heyday.
Mhm.
And the musical's played absolutely straight. And it's awful. And Bruce Wayne's like, this is terrible. And
Yeah.
he walks out. But that's exactly it. In the world of the show, it's supposed to be played absolutely straight, and hearing Batman sing about villains being a
Superstitious, cowardly law.
You know, in the world of, you know, reality, everyone's going to be like, this is crap, and walk out. Here, when you play into the ridiculousness of it, you're going to have so much more fun with those concepts and really just enjoy the ride.
Oh,
And I-
especially Oh, sorry, not just
And
step on.
again, I think that's just why the show works as well as it does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it really does like work together, especially like when the costumes, like they have the underwear on the
Yeah,
outside, like, the
everybody,
typical.
everybody wears underoos laced in white, and so you can
Exactly.
very clearly tell they're
Yeah.
men's briefs, and
Exactly.
and that's how
The typical
that's
childhood fashion manifest,
and that's
Superman or Batman.
that's incorporated
Yeah.
in all the superhero costumes.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious.
Yeah, along with Chuck Taylor shoes, which were a part of every StarKid costume for many years. I love those.
I like looking at them, but having worn them, I don't find those shoes comfortable at all. So
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how they managed to do an entire show in those, but I salute you for it.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of work.
So another StarKid staple in the show is over on stage left. There's a door. No matter where the scene takes place, everyone entering from stage left goes through a door for some reason.
Which is awesome. It adds that whole plot because no matter where they're at, could be in a warehouse, could be in
Could be
Lair,
streets of Gotham or
street of Gotham. Just for some reason, it's a door in the middle of the street in the air when Batman and Superman are flying.
Mhm.
Yep.
But it just, I love like the whole the main two actors that play Batman and Superman. Superman doesn't come in until kind of like a little bit towards the
Well,
middle.
Yeah, he's there in like scene 2, but
Yeah, to
he's
present the key to the city.
yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
but like he starts getting increasingly important as it goes on.
And see, you love the dynamic between the two because they do start off like hating each other like right off the bat.
It's a rivalry.
But it is like you said, the ridiculousness of like the goofy like childhood, like I hate you, but I hate you, but I hate you more, but I hate you even more.
Yeah.
More. Yeah, I hate you plus infinity plus one.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Whole
Yes,
thing.
that is Batman's whole deal for sure. Is he's
And
he's very very childish. Like it's kind of a predecessor to Will Arnett's Lego Batman in a lot of ways. It takes you could see I could see people thinking they ripped off some of the jokes from Lego Batman, but other way around. This came much earlier. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. And well, the one thing I was really going to say I really like about this incarnation of Batman specifically is they really lean into the aspect of him being a spoiled child to the point that so many people have made the comment of, oh, Batman fights crazy villains, but is he really the crazy one? And this one kind of plays that up in the idea that he's not so much concerned about bringing criminals to justice as it is he seems to really get off almost crippling them in a way to the point that he even shoots a store clerk who forgot to put a dollar bill back.
It makes the no kill rule seem kind of sadistic, right? Because
he's only barely
broken
not
jaw,
killing them.
fractured tibia.
Yeah.
Shooting everybody,
out kneecaps.
shooting everybody's legs
Legs
out
out,
from his bat plane.
It's like at the beginning when he's thinking to himself, "You're all criminals in my book. You just haven't committed any crimes
Oh,
yet."
yeah.
I remember when I watched this with my mom and sisters, like they started to wonder just right there in scene 2 if Batman was actually the villain of this story.
Well, and it also makes me wonder if this is just that take on a kid who really likes Batman, not because of what Batman stands for or how he works, but because he just likes watching fight scenes with Batman. Because I'm not going to lie, when I was a kid and I watched the animated series, I was incapable of understanding concepts like blackmail or, bribery, but it had a lot of dynamic action. That was a lot of fun to watch when I was, 5 or 6. Obviously, as I got older, I enjoyed it for the much deeper writing I discovered. But the point is, as a kid, I thought it was cool when Batman took out the gadgets and fought the bad guys because, that was easy enough for me to understand. And I have to wonder if that's part of what they're also playing into.
Yeah. Hey, when you have a
that kind of
superhero as written by a 5-year-old, you get Axe Cop. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I love Axe Cop.
Yeah.
I'll chop your head off.
And the animation to it is still even good.
I've never saw the show, but I read the comic Axe Cop.
It's on Hulu. And so
I'm sure the show's not as good because it's not actually written by a 5-year-old.
Yeah. Also, I want to give serious props. I forget what you said his name is, but the actor who played Alfred,
Chris Allen.
impeccable Michael Caine impression.
Oh,
Yes,
dude.
I hear he was going to play Sweet Tooth until they found out he could do a Michael Caine impression.
Wait.
Oh man, how cool would it have been if he could have played both?
Yeah.
That actually would have been really funny.
Well,
but
I would say I like his not to step on you, but I like his Two-Face character.
Yeah.
yeah, his Two-Face character was good too,
Yeah,
but
Two-Face.
Two-Face was barely
Yeah,
in it
he's
compared to
a
Alfred.
I know.
little joke villain who
He's
pops in
little-
and out. Yeah.
Plus the fact that Alfred's capable of constantly confusing Batman by putting on a new
Different
hat.
Yeah. Yes, Alfred gets fired early in the show and comes back disguised as O'Malley, the Irish butler.
With a suspiciously British accent.
Yes, the Irish butler. Yeah, that is the bulk of the show is he's O'Malley.
Yeah, and then he has a Chinese one too, which
barely
a
there.
little questionable, but
Yeah, it
barely
is.
in
Yeah, I
it.
mean, yeah, had he just not bothered at all like he did with the Irish butler, that would have worked. But no,
But-
he tries to be a little more Chinese, and that's even for 2012. That's not.
So weird.
What is funny though is the fact that Batman falls for it every time.
Yes, that seconds after he fires his butler, the agency sends over a new one.
A replacement.
Yeah, just an agency sends a replacement who can know that he's Batman. Right?
And then, how'd you get into the Batcave? Came through the door that I left through.
Yeah.
And also, especially about him, and he always talked about like certain phrases. This was before the war.
Before the war, yeah.
That was the phrase every single
Yeah,
time.
Talking
could
about
bring up-
he says such ridiculous stories about Thomas Wayne. It's like about the bat plane. It's like that was your father's plane. It's like, no, it wasn't. They established that Batman built the plane himself. Before the war, your father used these tunnels to help with the Underground Railroad.
Yeah.
The Civil War. What?
I was about to say, every time he says it, I'm just thinking, what war? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
the war.
Yeah, but you know what? That's part of the fun, though. Again, the idea that you have the Weizen mentor character
Yeah.
always repeating these same bland inspirational stories.
Mhm.
In this case, they lean into it, and the fact that he pretty much buys a person from the circus.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where Robin comes in. Yeah.
Yep.
The flying fool himself.
And you were speaking of the whole joke stolen from Lego Batman when he
Yeah.
first meets Robin. It's like,
Is it?
I'm Dick. Okay, fine. I don't need to know your name.
Yeah. No, what happens is that people call me Dick, and Batman says, "Oh, does that hurt your feelings?" Whereas in Lego Batman, the response is, "Well, children can be cruel."
Yeah.
What
Both appropriate, but
Mhm.
both
my
hilarious. And can I just say that I love the fact that this musical leans into the whole Robin hatred that was really prevalent around this time.
Yeah.
I've always personally
It's
really
basically that's kind of the point, is that it legitimizes Robin as part of the Batman mythos.
yeah,
You know?
and there's a reason he is there. There's a reason he exists.
Robin,
Personally,
make Batman happy.
well, again, part of the thing I've always really liked about Robin, the Dick Grayson version specifically, my favorite Robin of all time is Tim Drake, but Dick Grayson is one of my favorite superheroes. And part of the reason I've always liked him is I've always seen him as sort of the reflection of what Batman could have become had he not been so alone when his parents were killed. The idea that someone was there to guide, direct, and raise someone to still follow the vigilante path, but also someone who truly understood their pain and gave them context is why, in many ways, Dick Grayson grew up to be a much more well-rounded person and superhero in some ways than Batman ever could be. Because Batman pretty much kind of is stunted in terms of
Yeah.
his
Was-
development psychologically, but in other ways, Dick Grayson was able to overcome some of the hurdles that Bruce himself suffers with.
Yeah.
So that's why I've always found Robin to be such a fascinating character. And I hate the fact that everyone just thinks, oh, it's some guy in a Speedo just wearing a stupid costume and spouting holy whatever Batman. And it's like, no, there's so much more to that.
Yeah. it's, I mean, I compare it to how no matter what you do with Aquaman, people say, so he just swims fast and talks to fish. It's like, yeah.
Occasionally he punches things.
Yeah.
Until you find out he literally can control the entire
Yeah, it's
ocean,
like, hey, yeah, creatures of the
cause
deep.
tsunamis.
Creatures of the deep, that's a very broad category, you know? And yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I'm not going to try to defend Aquaman. It doesn't work.
Plus, he has a trident, and in some incarnations, he has a really sweet beard.
Mhm.
You know what Superman has? A fortress. Solid, dude.
Mhm. Plus, all his other superpowers.
Yeah. Super ventriloquism. All that, yeah.
He's friends with Snoop Dogg.
That is definitely one of my favorite scenes is
When Superman gets a call.
yeah, it's
from,
like if I have two favorite scenes, it's definitely that near the beginning, Superman and Batman is kind of muttering to each other while Commissioner Gordon makes a speech, and then my second favorite would be Batman's big rousing speech to Superman in the end, and then from there, definitely another Superman moment. That would be Superman getting a call from the president. I mean, not most of it, just how it opens. Well, being that Superman pretends that he has lots of friends over, so he first answers with a Snoop Dogg impression. Hey, this is one of Superman's friends, and then of course the president introduces himself. It's not Batman, Superman. It's the president of the United States, Barack Obama. That was.
Is he actually good?
Actually, the recurring gag I really liked with Superman is the fact that every time he either is on the phone or answers the phone, he's always trying to embellish everything to make himself sound cooler. Like the whole idea of it's like, yeah, if you see Wonder Woman, tell her brassiere is there and I saw her naked boobies.
Yeah.
Or it's like, hey, Batman, we're fighting Solomon Grundy.
Solomon Grundy gonna be off.
The
The woman's gonna. Then later he calls Wonder Woman and says, "Hey, just confirmed, Batman will be there." And then of course afterward he's like, "Hey, so where were you for the whole Solomon Grundy thing? It was a fine turnout, and me and a couple cool guys, me and Solomon Grundy."
Yeah, just the idea that he always has to embellish himself, because that's the thing with Superman having godlike powers. I love the fact that everyone's like,
Well, whatever.
no one cares.
And that's the funny part of even how like Batman in the musical, like he could bust people's kneecaps, shoot him almost shoot him down to death, and yet still everybody loves him. Oh, Batman, you just you just a rough heart playboy.
Accept this
Not
game in the
playboy, not
city.
He's so angsty.
Yeah.
In any other way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's always forgiving of him.
No,
Like,
and
what
again,
he does.
Superman's like, he's just a guy dressed as a bat. I can fly. I have heat vision.
And I guess that was just the mindset back then. People wanted dark and gritty, edgy stuff. So the Gothamites they like Batman. They don't like Superman. They really don't like Robin.
Yeah, and honestly, that's just again that, like you said, that was the tone that was going on, especially with like the Nolan movies. And they really do manage to capture what fans were thinking at the time. And yeah, what happened?
And
Man of Steel, dark, gritty Superman, and nobody liked it.
right.
Well, I don't know why, because personally, I haven't read all of it, but I read part of it. And I kind of liked it.
Talk about the movie Man of Steel.
I'm talking about the comic. There's a comic book Man of Steel.
Yeah, I haven't read that. I'm just talking about the fact that they had to do the Man of Steel movie, and they also wanted to make that dark and gritty because that's what people were demanding of their superheroes.
Superman shouldn't be fun, they said.
Yeah. Honestly, I think if it were up to them, they pretty much would have made his costume all black with slightly darker gray, and maybe probably would have destroyed more of Metropolis if possible.
Broken everybody's neck. But it just what it does is it just reminds what Holy Musical Batman tries to do is remind people that superheroes are supposed to be fun and serious, and what kind of pretentious douchebag wants them to be gritty and realistic all the time. Like there's I lost my train of thought. Okay.
But no, like you said, gritty and realistic all the time. Like
I got it back. Yeah, it's based on like a lot of the plot, especially the Batman against Superman parts, based on Yeah, I believe it's The Dark Knight Rises.
Hmm.
No, there's that movie.
Dark Knight Returns.
Dark
is
Knight
the
Returns. Yes, that is. Yeah,
story,
that is the.
the comic book story.
Yes, that is what I meant. And yeah, they base it on that. And but I'd like to say they take one of the most infamous things Batman's ever said. I'm the goddamn Batman, and they put it in a legitimately cool moment instead of a silly one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the other thing I was going to say that I really like this concept is it's not, like you said, it's not just poking fun at the stupidity, ridiculousness of just comic books in general, but some of the more ridiculous things that Superman and Batman have ever done. My favorite being the whole fly around the earth really quickly in the opposite direction to turn back time.
Yeah.
The idea that they actually found a way to make it, well, it doesn't make sense, but the idea that they found a way to incorporate it instead of just Superman saying, "Oh, I can travel back in time by flying really fast.
Yeah.
Can you do that?" You know, he was originally saying that as a means of one-upping Batman.
Yeah, and then he does that is how he saves the day, and
Yes.
it works because it feels earned because it was foreshadowed, which I suppose
Chekhov's
works.
gun.
Yeah, and so it works. Yeah,
But I love the fact that they could have just let that be a throwaway "I'm better than you" line and never reference it again.
Yeah.
But they paid it off. And
Yeah.
again, that is one of the more infamous Superman things that we've ever seen in movies or comic books and all that. But
and then, like it comes back and says, "Too bad I can only do it once." There's no logic there, but you know they prevent any future plot holes there, right? Yeah.
in no way, yes. I also love the idea that Batman apparently is not dictated by a sense of right or wrong. At one point, they essentially say, "Hey, here's a Facebook poll: should Robin live or should Robin die?" Which is a callback to the Death in the Family comic book, where people called a hotline to vote whether Jason Todd, the second Robin, either lived or died at the hands of the Joker. And a slim majority said, "Let him die."
Yep.
And in this case, a majority said, "Let Robin die." Batman's like, "Screw them, I'm saving Robin to hell with the people of Gotham."
Yeah.
I need my Robin.
But still, the idea that they took that meta aspect of the
Yeah.
Batman comic book
Yeah.
and made it a plot point. Again, that's just goes to show the level of dedication they really had to want to make sure that they celebrated everything about these characters.
Yeah.
And it definitely shows both in the writing and in the music, especially the idea that if Batman were going to do a Torch I Want song, it's the idea of him essentially wanting friends.
Yeah.
That's why he made the Justice League, wasn't it? Him
Well,
and his super friend.
Yeah.
Super friends.
Super Friend, a league for justice. What do you call a league for justice? The Super Friends.
Well, and again, another callback. The first 3 episodes of the Justice League, Superman's like, "I thought I could always save the world on my own, but I think together we could be a force that could make a good cause for justice across the globe." What, like a bunch of super friends?
Yeah.
More like a Justice League.
Yeah.
So the idea that they kind of flipped that whole
Yeah.
because the idea of the super friends is just Hanna-Barbera trying to sell you these comic book characters.
Mhm.
I don't know why they didn't go with the Justice League, but they didn't. And so the Super Friends in many ways is where we get the whole idea of Aquaman being useless or Robin being lame or Wendy and Marvin being there for no good legitimate reason.
Yep.
They were just 2 random teens that I think just snuck in and they never bothered to call their parents.
Kids should go home.
I'm sorry. I just always thought Wendy and Marvin were weird.
Right. But hey, free idea for you. You know, I think a League for Justice would be a great idea for a Game of Thrones themed Justice League fanfic. I say that because there's this. I heard of this fanfic once called "A Man of Iron," and I haven't read it, but the very premise just made me laugh and laugh and laugh. So yeah, it's a Game of Thrones fanfic called "A Man of Iron," and it's it starts where A Song of Ice and Fire starts, but except early on in that banquet when the king visits, Ned Stark is also visited by his cousin Tony Stark, and so the story kind of veers off from there. From what I understand.
Marvel superhero world.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But like I said, you could definitely tell that there was a lot of appreciation and love that really went into these characters.
Yeah, they clearly know more about DC than I do for sure.
Yeah, well, what can I say? I grew up loving DC comics and DC characters, so
I did love the representation of Green Lantern. He could only make green things. And he kept making
Yeah, you want a Heineken or
or a Rocky Stone?
Rolling Rock?
Rolling Rock.
Rolling Rock or Heineken, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Rolling
like-
Heineken.
anyone want limes?
Yeah.
Tequila time. I got the
um, so I just want to switch gears real quick and talk about Sweet Tooth.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
like you said earlier, Sweet Tooth is essentially the Joker, except candy everywhere.
Oh my god.
And talking exclusively in candy puns. So
And every time he makes a candy pun, he pulls that particular brand of candy bar from his coat
yeah,
and shows it off, as if stage acting isn't hard enough already. I mean,
Yes.
that was like the most brilliant stage work I've ever
Yeah.
seen. Is he always has exactly the right brand of candy available?
exactly.
Your
Whichever
old Twix.
whichever pocket, whichever sleeve. I don't know how Jeff Blim did it, but kudos. But the thing I was always questioning, especially from now and eventually when we rewatched it recently, I would really love, and if anyone knows this, please let us know. But I would just really love to know how much money alone did they spend on all those candy bars? I just really want to know how much money did you spend to have a whatchamacallit and a sweet tart and a Twix and an Airhead and a Butterfingers? It's like, how much money, how many stores did you have to go to?
They got some obscure brands for sure.
Exactly.
$100,000? You don't see $100,000
Yeah.
anywhere.
I haven't seen a full size whatchamacallit bar in a long
No.
time. So, I really have to wonder how many stores did you have to go to find all those? And how much money did you spend? I genuinely would just love to know that.
Oh, well, he even makes a reference to the Sweet Tooth character as he's like having his like monologuing,
Monologuing about he's
what he's done and how much he's gone through and how much money he's spent on candy.
Yeah, no, I know that's a part of it, but again, I'm really wondering.
genuinely.
Just for the show.
Exactly.
But but that's that's the ridiculousness of like they really played into the Batman characters like the Riddler, the Joker, Condiment Man, Calendar Man. They even had Calendar Man in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robbing a TGI Fridays, of course. Which
Which
I only recently got, he's Calendar Man. That's why he's going for Fridays.
And
That took me way too long.
I still love what the hostess at TGI Friday. All we can serve you is a forced fun atmosphere and mediocre entree. And the fact that Batman punches Calendar Man, I was like, "Thank you, Batman," and he punches the Fridays waitress too. Again, an example that Batman just gets off on the violence and nothing else.
It really does.
It's hilarious. It really, really is.
Because it just back to the whole thing of Superman or Batman never kills people, but like if you even play like the games or anything, like he throws people off buildings and like he's supposedly catching them with a rope at the very end.
Every time I play those Arkham games, it's like, oh, okay, so he just non-lethally just threw them over a ledge, and they just non-lethally landed on their neck.
Or he like took a shield to somebody's neck.
Yeah, non-lethally.
Yeah, it's like a Terminator 2, human casualties 0.0. What is a decimal point of a casualty?
Yeah, or again, it's like, you don't kill people, he'll live.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the Batman no kill rule. It's comics code stuff, and DC was one of the last companies to break away from it. I think
I understand that, but at the same time, I do kind of understand why Batman has it. For those of you who want the recommendation, if you ever watch Batman Under the Red Hood, there is a phenomenal monologue at the end of that where Jason Todd asks him, "What? It's too hard for you to kill the Joker?" And he essentially says, "No, it'd be too easy. I know that if I ever cross that line, I am never coming back."
Well, that's the thing, Joker.
I mean, that is true. It does take a lot. It does take a lot more skill to not kill someone. But I mean, that's that's kind of why I don't care for it, because it's just an unreasonable amount of skill to expect from someone. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that was like the whole point in one of the Arkham games where Joker tried to kill himself multiple times, and you had to, as Batman, try to stop himself from killing himself.
Yeah, he didn't follow the Nolan of I don't have to save you rule. So,
That's the
honestly,
one I
if
like,
he
though.
did follow that rule, the Arkham games would have been a lot shorter.
I don't have to save you from falling into that vat of boiling hot chocolate.
It was just like the whole Sweet Tooth character, like his plan to like disrupt everything, like you said, is like this big huge scheme of like things where he brings the warhead out. And
Yeah,
it's this atomic like jolly, or what is it?
it's a
It's a
jawbreaker.
warhead.
It's a warhead.
It's a sour jawbreaker.
Yeah.
The nuclear warhead, you call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the idea is to make the
It's
water
so sour that
sour
it poisons Gotham's water supply.
and makes their heads explode as he unceremoniously kills Rachel Dawes of all people.
Yeah.
Just for some reason.
I think it was because they didn't have enough time to find a second actress to magically replace her halfway through the show in the Nolan movies.
Just wanted to get rid of her. Keep using her over and over.
I'm sorry, that would just always bug me with the Nolan films.
Yeah.
It's like Katie Holmes, Maggie Gyllenhaal. Oh yeah, they look exactly the
Yeah.
same.
They're fine. It's fine.
Oh, they're both fine actresses.
Yeah,
it's just, like it's uncanny. It really is.
I mean, Mark Ruffalo doesn't look like Ed Norton either, but he's better.
Yes.
Well, again, I've gotten used to Mark Ruffalo.
Well, yeah, he's been in.
But it was still weird in the Avengers.
Yeah, and when they had to, they went out of their way to lampshade the hell out of Don Cheadle now.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you can.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think it's best not to try to get an actor that looks like the previous
No.
one. I think you're not going to get a good performance out of that.
Yeah, but at the same time, you can always just pretend that the Incredible Hulk never happened. Most of Marvel already
Yes,
done.
They
Yeah, no,
tried to.
They're finally bringing back like a ton of the Incredible Hulk cast members in the upcoming Captain America. I think Brave New World is the title.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
it was going to be New World Order, but that's an anti-Semitic
I haven't
conspiracy
seen
theory, so they changed it to Brave New World. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't really have New World Order all together. in
Yeah,
one
yeah,
sentence.
Captain America, New World Order.
Yeah, sounds
that's it.
great. But no, back to the musical. It's just this whole musical. I loved everything about it. It was super great. It was so fun. Like you smiled the whole way through, and I say it had a little bit of lackluster, just tiny bit, just because just production quality, obviously. But besides that, like it was super funny. The puns through the entire thing. Because I did love the Superman meetup where they had like Penguin, Catwoman.
It is. It's especially from the
Freeze.
villains,
Yeah.
just like in the '60s show. It's when you get the villains together, just the puns fly, and they keep the puns to the theme of each villain, and it's very clever and well done.
Oh yeah.
Again, I only have a couple of hangups with this. I mean, I said before, I'll say it again. When he was singing, at least I could not understand Mr. Freeze because he had that dome on his head.
His mic was inside the dome. How does
I get
that?
what you did.
Yeah. Well, again, when he was talking, I could understand him a little bit better, but when he was singing, I don't know. Maybe it was a volume thing or whatever. But
Yeah, at least during the song "Dark, Sad, Lonely Night," we did have trouble hearing Batman singing.
Yeah,
but
that's
it was only for that one song. for
and
the
that
most part,
may, like you said, that may have been my television. I don't know.
yeah, because
but-
I've never noticed that problem with
But I mean, even these minor things, the songs are still really well done.
Oh yeah,
And I got to give credit. I mean, with the exception of maybe Robin, everybody really brings it as a singer. And even though Robin is not like the technically best singer, he totally still sells the character.
I'm sure Nick Lang would be the first person to say that he is the only non-singer in that cast.
But he still sold the character, so I can mostly forgive that
Completely, yeah.
And again, I love, like you said, how much they commit to the bit.
Oh yeah.
You could tell that every single person up there was totally invested with what they were doing.
Every single one.
Yeah.
Fabulous, yeah.
And it's just I love just how like the effort they put in, because even like the other StarKid movie that we watched,
Trail to Oregon.
Treasure Oregon, they had a scene where everybody just like stops and just like, oh my gosh, what are we doing up here? And just like,
yeah, they do that here too, where they collapse. Yeah.
and they
Oh,
people
yeah.
fall,
Oh,
people
yeah.
fall on the ground.
Oh yeah, I love. There's so many StarKid signatures of that. Like when someone says 3 cheers, everyone goes cheers, cheers, cheers. And when there's a crowd rumbling, they're all in perfect unison going rabble, rabble, rabble.
Although
And nobody ever gasps in a StarKid show. They just say gas.
yeah. Although the rabble, that I'm sorry, that was South Park's first.
Well, yeah.
South Park did that.
Yeah,
before
but
they
not
did it.
not quite so perfectly.
Uh,
And it's
I will argue that, but I still love the gag regardless. So it's still hilarious. rabble.
And who was the actress who played Commissioner Gordon?
Lauren Lopez.
Lauren Lopez. Love her so
Yeah, I mean, oh my God,
much.
so much commitment to putting on the old man, but constantly quivering
Yeah.
through the whole thing. And
Get down.
yeah, like I don't know who thought that Lauren Lopez would be the good choice for Commissioner Gordon, but God bless him.
Yeah, and whoever thought it, you essentially decided to make bushy eyebrows out of what looked like 2 fake mustaches.
Yeah.
Huge eyebrows. And how she can move her face too to have those eyebrows just like up and down, like
Yeah.
the whole entire
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
And
And at one point you go, now when I wrote Huckleberry Finn,
And then later Huckleberry Finn turns out to be a bad guy.
yeah,
Along with evil King Arthur and Sherlock Holmes.
yeah, yeah. They mention a lot of obscure and lame Batman villains, and then they also throw in a few more that are based on the public domain. Yeah,
You know what? The idea of Batman versus Sherlock Holmes to find out who's a better detective actually would probably be pretty interesting.
it would,
If
but
it hasn't already been done
yeah,
already.
in this case, evil Sherlock Holmes just has a heat ray. That's all.
Yeah.
Huge teeth.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I'm sure somebody already wrote Evil Sherlock, not Evil Sherlock, but Batman versus Sherlock Holmes
yeah.
for who's the better detective.
Well,
I'm
it's,
sure
it's in season 2 of Epic Rap Battles of
That's-
History. Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah, but as an actual story,
as
yeah,
an actual story, I'm sure somebody's already
With the
written
fan for it,
it.
the fan
Yeah.
fiction for it. Oh,
A one-off comic book. I
Something
don't
for it,
know.
yeah.
They've done a lot of stuff in comic books. They did this little, I think fairly recently, they did a bunch of Looney Tunes crossovers in the DC universe.
I mean, they've done a bunch of like Tom and Jerry go to the Wizard of Oz. They
yeah,
keep crossing over a lot of their old franchises. I remember the mid 2000s The Batman show, the one where it looked like that version of Bruce Wayne had his nose smashed in.
Mhm.
I remember, I think I was watching Teen Titans or something, and then they're like, the new DVD movie, The Batman versus Dracula. And it's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense. Calls back to one of my favorite Animaniacs jokes where they meet Dracula. Does Batman know you're wearing his cape? I guess he just wanted it back.
What? Oh my gosh.
I know, yeah, that's just, I know, that's we're just really just getting into the Warner Brothers thing. Like, you look at multiverses and it's like, it doesn't work. It's well, I mean, I like multiverses. I want to play it a whole bunch, but it's the thing. It's like, unlike Disney or Nintendo, Warner Brothers doesn't have a unified identity, so the crossovers always just come across as weird as hell.
Well, and some of
Pretty
those
much.
characters like Arya Stark and LeBron James just don't look right. I mean, I know they put effort into their
Yeah,
designs,
there's
but
one unified
you
art
put them
style.
next to like Bugs Bunny or Batman, and it's like something just does not look right with these
One
characters.
thing just doesn't belong here.
And then you take like the more simplified design of, say, Finn from Adventure Time next
Yeah.
to Steven Universe, and it's like these two things don't look like they would share the same.
Yeah,
face.
it's a unified art style, but not unified enough, I suppose.
Yeah.
I feel like if one of them went to the other universe, it would just completely collapse their universe.
But at the same time, I get that that's also the whole concept, the idea that these characters throughout the multiverse are all
Together.
showing up.
The Scooby Gang and Scooby Doo helped Batman a few times, more than once, and then
That's true.
the Globetrotters and Batman would work together.
But see, in those cases, they had shows already animated by Hanna-Barbera, so
Yeah.
they just used the Hanna-Barbera design.
Yeah.
Very true.
Anyway, whenever Multiverses comes back, I definitely want to make a series of us playing it with all sorts of people. That's gonna be great.
That's if it ever comes back.
It's gonna come back. They're not gonna cancel it.
I hope not. The idea had promise, but I haven't heard anyone talking about it.
Yeah, no, yeah, they just kind of they took it out of early access, but hey, I mean, hey, someone data mined it, found all sorts of characters that are coming up.
All right, well, we're not here to talk about that.
No,
hey,
back
got
to
something.
Holy Musical.
talk about whatever we want. This is my show.
Awesome.
Actually, I'm not sure why this is my show. It was your idea. This is your house. Why am I hosting this?
I just always figured it was our show,
Yeah.
and I never really thought too hard about
Yes.
it.
I'm just here. No, I like talking. This is like a
It's
whole bunch of
technically
fun.
my channel, but I don't want this to be a me
No.
channel. I like other people. Yeah.
Yes, it's a collaborative 3-person.
But no,
Yeah. Do we? Are we ready for the final thoughts on Holy Musical Batman, or do we want to keep going?
My next thought was gonna be like my favorite song that was
Sure, go ahead. What's your
So,
favorite
Talk
song?
about some numbers. Yeah.
some of the numbers. A lot of them were good, especially the big one in the very beginning. But mine that stuck with me the most was Robin Sucks.
I like Robinson.
I
Very catchy.
I love the whole
Very catchy, kind of a pattern. Robin sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very catchy.
Yeah.
And just the whole point of that going through was really, really good. Whoa, I just blanked out on the rest of them. Why did I just blank out on the rest of them?
I mean, I
Like,
don't know the
there's-
names of all of them.
Yeah, there's
No.
Rogues Are We, which is the big Rogues Gallery
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah, the villain song. Is that the Rogues one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rogues
Rogues
Are
Are
We.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sweet Tooth had his own song.
Yeah, he had
with
there was a
music number.
reprise of Rogues Are We at the end of the same scene. Yeah.
Mhm.
And just like with all the 2 StarKid things I've seen, he's always good with his music,
Yeah.
his big musical numbers, and just, and just like the costume design too. I know I keep coming back to the costume, but it's just some simplistic as like back to the Robin Sucks of having the working man with the hard hat and the flannel shirt, and then next to him was like the news
The
person,
Pizza Gal.
the
and
pizza
then-
gal.
and yeah,
It's like
and-
Ash Ketchum.
Yeah,
the
and then the Pizza Gal just adjusts her hat a little to start playing a newsboy, right?
Yeah.
And then the 2 nerds who say that the Batman should always be a solitary figure, and one of them is wearing a vote for Harvey Dent shirt. Yeah.
Yes. So what was your favorite song if you had to pick one?
I don't know. I mean, I have to go between the 2 we've already talked about, and I really, I don't know. This is a really solid score. I mean, I like the. I mean, I like the opening number. I like the finale. It's just solid throughout. And of course the Batman and Superman fighting each other to be a man. That's a great song. And
Especially since I think it was Superman pulls off Batman's underoos.
they pull off each other's underoos. Yeah, they do. Yeah, and yeah, just the actual choreography. But yeah, I just like the. Yeah, I just like this kind of the banter of that, and
Mhm.
I would say, and then we get the second song, "Dark, Sad, Lonely Night," which I know it just goes on forever and
It
ever, and then
does.
Batman rambles about just the most random things, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really get it, it's not funny, but then of course it ends with this great harmony from the entire cast.
Yeah.
And there's quite a bit of that, like the finale, they got all the songs harmonizing together with each other, and yeah, it's just a very well thought out score by Nick Gage. Yes.
Yeah, I would have to say my favorite probably is the finale, just because one, it's hilarious still. The idea that Robin just interjects with like some of the most random
I
thoughts.
want to be a modern dancer. What a super
What
weird
are-
thing to say that
Yeah.
came out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. The idea that they acknowledge it. I also just, again, I love the fact that at the end, when they're essentially becoming the super friends, they have all kinds of superheroes,
Yeah, I just
including Spider-Man.
Yeah, just yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
we
just-
won't spoil it, but
Yeah,
there's
it's
a
yeah,
recurring
it
joke
starts
about
yeah,
Spider-Man.
yeah, it's a recurring joke that yeah, just Batman he's in contact with Spider-Man, and then he shows up at the end to be the super friends. Like yeah, it starts with, you
Yeah.
got Batman, Robin, and Superman are talking about it. Green Lantern shows up late, Spider-Man shows up late, and then
Yeah.
during the song, the entire rest of the cast comes in as various DC heroes, and it's an epic shot for
Yeah,
sure
and I
because
think-
they all run on at once.
And I think that's part of the reason I like it, to see like Aquaman and Black Canary, who Black Canary is kind of an obscure choice when it comes to some of the more well-known DC superheroes.
There's Green Arrow, and I like Nico Agger's Plastic Man. You can tell he's
Yeah.
trying to be elastic as he does it.
Or the fact that Jeff Blim gets to be Aquaman.
Yeah.
Still has like the
Yeah.
He's still yeah. I don't think Jeff Blim's capable of smiling in any other way.
But I mean, the idea that he gets to change out of Sweet Tooth and be something else for a
Yeah.
second.
Because Jeff Blim, he's just Sweet Tooth for most of it. He's Joe Chill at the very beginning, and he's Aquaman at the end.
Yeah.
And he's all Sweet Tooth in the
But
middle. Yeah.
There again, I love all those callbacks, and like I said, I like the Spider-Man reference, because I mean the whole idea of it's like, no, I don't like it. It's a slow plane. Give it to Spider-Man.
Spider-Man could use a good plate.
Yeah. And then later it's like, thank you for the plane, but I can't
I don't have anywhere to stick it.
it.
Big fan of yours. I follow you on the web.
Yeah, just
And of course,
another
those
excuse for more puns.
yeah, of course, those are at their only funny because Batman is good.
Yeah, just the
Yeah.
like just laugh.
Yeah. Well, and let's not forget one of the best recurring jokes whenever Batman introduces himself. Hi, I'm Batman. Damn it! I mean, I'm Bruce Wayne.
I'm-
Damn it!
I'm Bruce Batman.
I'm Bruce Wayne. Fuck!
Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, and then it's even then the second time Superman gets his voicemail, you even get it. You have reached the voicemail of Bruce Man. I mean Batwayne. I mean, fuck.
Yeah, just the idea that he actually is like, I've never told anyone this except a couple of ex-girlfriends and a couple of other people.
Yeah,
But I'm Batman.
yeah, and it's like it's people don't get it. Like the very first note he leaves for the Gotham PD: criminals of Gotham, fear me. Bruce Wayne, and then that's crossed out, and underneath it says Bat. And then he orders a pizza to Wayne Manor. He's like, I wonder if Bruce Wayne knows Batman lives under his house.
Yeah. Or the other joke when he meets Superman's like, oh, hello, Clark Kent. I'm not Clark Kent, much perfect. Here, put these on.
Yeah, that's an old joke, but it's among
so
that whole
funny.
scene of that whole Batman.
But just
Superman
the
scene.
idea that they don't
Gold.
take don't take any of their secret identities seriously
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, then like later on, Lantern's like, "Oh, that's rough, Clark." He's like, "Wait, you know my secret identity? It's a secret."
Exactly. So but like I said, the finale is probably my favorite song, just because it's such a great just a great note to end on. The idea
Yeah.
that Batman has opened up his heart and
Yeah.
let other people in.
Yeah,
It's
I
hilarious.
think it's like the banner image for the StarKid YouTube channel. Still, is just all the superheroes coming together.
Yeah, it's a good one. It really is.
Only thing would make it better if they all jumped at the last minute and had like a post.
Freeze frame, yeah.
frame.
Freeze frame. So, are we ready to move on to our final ranking?
I am, yeah.
You start.
Yeah. It's always
All right.
do.
Well,
Yeah.
as I said, this musical is hilarious for a myriad of reasons. As a musical, the music is well done, well performed, really, really fun to listen to just on its own. Which, if you ask me, that's one of the hallmarks of the musical. Is this a score I want to go back and listen to, even without actually watching the
Outside the
show?
context, yeah.
And I would say yes in this case.
Oh my gosh.
I still think that there are a couple of issues. Like you said, one of the songs does go on for a little bit too long. There are a couple of moments where I do feel it probably could have had a little bit of revising with the script, cutting down on a couple of superfluous elements. That said, I can't fault it too much for that. It's still good. I do think I like the other show better personally, just because I felt it was a little more polished and a little more focused. For one of these, though, parody musicals that they were so known for at the beginning of their rise to fame, for lack of a better word, I do think this one is a really good one. Interestingly enough, whenever I'm at QCT, people only make reference to the Potter musical. They don't reference this one nearly as much.
Yeah, this
But I think that's a shame. But this one, again, I love DC. I love Batman. I love superheroes. I love musicals. This one really has a little bit of everything I already like,
Yeah.
minus one or two changes I personally would have made. I'm gonna give this one a B plus.
all right. Yeah, and I mean, before we go on, I just want to say just real quick. Yeah, Harry Potter is definitely the one they're most famous for, and then after that is Twisted, their Jafar story, and then the guy who didn't like musicals has ascended to solid top 3 there. But yeah, it's I'm an entire body of work StarKid guy for sure.
Yeah.
Not to keep prolonging this,
Proceed.
but you just said the Jafar thing, and I never knew that because I've seen clips of like the Jafar show, not knowing that was a Star Kid, not knowing that was the guy who was Green Lantern who played Jafar.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, brain's completely blown.
Yeah. Sorry about that interruption. You're reviewed.
Either do.
Mhm.
I liked it a lot. The music was great. Acting, the people in it were great. It was super funny. Love the puns. Puns were great. Little, like Mason said, kind of droned on a few songs, and timeline it does drone on a little long. It's not too bad if you're willing to put it in. Like if you're willing to put in the time for it, but like a few friends, like how we watched it together, it was super fun. Like it was great. Like all the puns mainly really got me because I love puns. The production wise, it was like a little lackluster. Besides Batman ship, his plane, love that plane because it was like an inner tube with like a Batman inner tube around him.
Appeared to be a Wii steering wheel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
we
looked like
steering
it
wheel coming in
anyway.
there. And so just like I was happy watching the whole thing. But another thing I have to agree with Mason as well, because I like Trail to Oregon better. This one's just a little lackluster for me. For some reason, I just give Trail to Oregon a little bit more. And so I'm gonna stick with Mason on this, kind of falling apart. I'm gonna give it a B plus as well. Because that's before we came here, I kind of already had it in B plus thinking
Yeah.
about it. And so it's just something
Still
about
great.
still
just-
great, still 100% great. Like you said, the music is really good, the scoring, the dancing, the acting in it, all great. But for some reason, just couldn't give it that A for some reason. I don't know what for sure.
Hmm. Now I think, like, as we were talking about it, it just kind of hit me. I think this is the first great StarKid show. Like, the stuff they did in college, they had the first 2 Harry Potter ones, and Me and My Dick, and they were very rough. They were great novelties, but they were very much rough around the edges. And then this is their coming out of college days. It's still a fairly rough show, but I mean, just the writing is just so much tighter than anything they've ever done. There's just a lot less. Yeah, there's just a lot less superfluous stuff than their previous ones, and Nick Gage's music is definitely unlike anything they did before or after. And yeah, and the costuming is just funny as hell, and there's so much just balance in the way they had all the actors juggling all these roles. And yeah, I think this was part of Starkey just really rising to the top. And yeah, I wish it was more. I wish it was more popular. I think more people should see this one. I mean, it's definitely one of the more accessible because it's Batman. It is the Batman musical.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all you have to
It's
know.
on YouTube.
Even though, yeah, they have a lot of, and yeah, even though they have a lot of deep cuts with the Batman lore, anybody can appreciate a Batman musical.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go is I hope this is a lower grade than what I gave Trail to Oregon, but I'm gonna go B plus. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think you did. I think.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, I think we gave Trail to Oregon A's across the
I think
board,
so.
somewhere.
It was,
So there you go.
Yeah.
Besides, because not to get Trail to Oregon at the very end of this, it was just really good. It was really good
Yeah.
compared to this one. Like the whole musical, the whole funny comedy bit throughout. Like you could really feel the emotion.
Like I said, I think Trail to Oregon script wise was a lot more focused on the story it was trying to tell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And unlike a couple of moments in Batman, it didn't drag nearly as much.
Yeah. It said, that's definitely throughout a lot of their it's definitely better than the earlier stuff. Like, yeah, there are scenes in the earliest StarKid shows that just drag on without any songs in them, even. Yeah, so yeah, they're yeah, this was definitely it was their turning point. It was and hey, definitely proved that they didn't need no Darren Chris. Because yeah, they definitely got just a lot tighter with the writing and the music as time went on, and then they relied more on just because like a Harry Potter musical was just the novelty of a Harry Potter musical that's really silly and crass, and this was definitely them inserting some quality into that general formula, and yeah, very good, very good, and well, it's gotten dark again for sure. So let's
Before we sign off, I'd like to say this: water shots for everyone.
water shots. Yeah.
I hope it's not the water.
Oh no, it was the water. Water shots.
I had to bring that one up.
To support Tapas and learn more, visit our link tree. Tapas and Stuff Productions is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon, including Knight Sadie Allen.